Hi. I would like to talk about the misconception that many people have in regards to how physical abuse is worse than emotional abuse. I think that we can all agree that abuse in any form is not right. However, the biggest misconception out there is that physical abuse is worse than emotional abuse. The main reason that people think this is because we can actually see the signs of physical abuse: the black eyes, the bruised ribs, or the hand marks on the neck. I 100% agree this is atrocious and should never happen. One never sees the side effects of emotional abuse. It is because of the emotional abuse that allows a person to go back into an abusive relationship. It is the feeling of unworthiness that has been pounded into the memory via verbal arguments, the constant being put down, the feeling of shame, and the blame. These all lead to ingrained beliefs that can last a lifetime. Nobody can see the bruised soul or the spirit that has been deflated. While the physical bruises go away, the internal emotional side effects carry on. My first marriage was to an abusive man. He was not that way in the beginning. He was kind and he loved me. We dated for a year before we got married, and shortly after that was when the emotional abuse started. There was lots of fighting, and then it escalated into physical abuse. And just after a year, I escaped a rather brutal flight in the middle of the winter. It was at night with just a dress, no shoes, and no coat. This is in Canada, so it was cold and snowing. I ran out the door and I found a phone and I called a friend. And I ended up in a shelter for abused women where I learned all about the cycle of abuse. There are 4 phases to the cycle of abuse. The tension building phase is where tension increases, communication breaks down. You can feel that something is wrong, and so you do everything to make sure that your partner is happy. The incident. Something happens to trigger your partner, and there is verbal, emotional, and/or physical abuse occurring with anger and threats and blaming and arguing and intimidation. 3 is the reconciliation. The abuser is sorry about what happened. Flowers and presents may occur. However, they also blame you for starting the fight. Deny of the abuse or downsizing how bad the abuse was, saying it wasn't as bad as what you thought. And then 4, the calm phase. No more talk about the incident. Everything's okay. It's all forgiven. This is a honeymoon phase. I call it the calm before the storm. It is these 4 cycles or these 4 phases that keep cycling and in patterns and keep occurring all the time. And it is after I saw the cycle of abuse that I decided that I was not going to go back into a marriage with a person who doesn't even realize that he's doing this, because it will never end. It is the emotional abuse that allows the abused to stay with the abuser. They have been brainwashed to think that they cannot live without them, that they were the cause of being hit. They are not good. They are not worthy. But that is so wrong. It takes an extreme amount of strength for an abused person to leave their abuser. For anyone who has left an abusive situation, I applaud you for getting out. Please remember to look after the internal you and release those ingrained beliefs that were implanted. For those that are still in an abusive situation, I implore, find the strength within to leave. You are worth it.